Welcome to episode 2 of modifications that I've done to my car. First one was my wheel and tire setup. And then the second most asked question I get is my lift suspension setup. So when I first put the smaller wheels on the smaller wheels and tires on the car, the plan was not to lift it. And for some reason, I don't know why, 75-15s rubbed, and they rubbed a lot. So it had to be lifted, and I wanted to do an ADF lift, but just the way things worked out, I didn't run with an ADF lift. I went with what Les Schwab had. So I have a 1.5-inch strut spacer lift with a 1.5-inch subframe drop, and I don't know the specs on it. I don't know what company makes it. All I know is that I think it's aluminum. I mean, it's silver and it's not like powder coated, so my guess is it's aluminum. It's like a singular bolt that goes through the whole thing. It's not like an ADF where you bolt to the spacer and then bolt to the car. It's just one continuous through. So I ran that for a little while, and then I decided to lift it again, but this time with some springs. So I have a 1-inch Eibach lift spring in the front, and then a 1.2-inch lift spring from Eibach in the rear. And I also put a Rallytech strut extender on the rear, so I have another inch of down travel, but at the cost of having less up travel, which I will probably not be running that when I do my new suspension in like the next week or so. Stay tuned for that. So right now the car sits at 2.5 in the front and 2.7 in the rear, but with the heavy weight of the bumpers, I don't really think it's really there anymore. The next springs I'm getting are 20 to 30% stiffer than what these ones are, so it's going to be a lot better. I hope that the bumpers are heavy enough to compensate for that stiffness, but we'll see. I'm also going to be changing my struts, because my front right strut on my passenger side, it blew. Like, the strut itself is toast, and the top hat also blew on it. So I got the top hat fixed, and now the strut it's bad. The car rocks on that side, and it makes a knocking noise also. Other than that, for suspension, I don't run sway bars. My front sway bar mount kept coming off from the subframe, so I decided to just ditch it. And the rear sway bar also just don't have that either. The car rocks a little bit, but it's really not that bad. So come back for the next episode number 3. Not sure what that'll be yet. Maybe my lighting setup, maybe my underbody protection. Just leave a comment or send me a DM on Instagram of what to do next.